You're listening to the Culips English podcast. To download the study guide for this episode, which includes the transcript, detailed vocabulary explanations, real-world examples, and a quiz, visit our website, culips.com. CULIPS.com. Hello, everybody. My name is Andrew.
And I'm Jeremy.
And you're listening to Culips. Hi, Jeremy.
Hi, Andrew.
How's it going?
I am doing very well. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well, but Jeremy, I'm feeling a little tight these days. And I've been thinking about doing some yoga to try and relax and loosen up.
Loosen up. So you want to get more flexible?
I would love to get more flexible. I am a really stiff guy, I think.
Don't be so stiff, man.
I know. I want to be, loose and flexible and be able to stretch, but it's difficult for me. But I've been thinking about starting to do yoga, and I thought, that might make for an interesting simplified speech episode topic. And so that's what we'll talk about today, yoga.
Perfect.
Yeah. So just before we start, I'll let everyone know that Simplified Speech is our series for beginner and intermediate level English learners. We're going to have a totally natural conversation today, everyone. The only difference between this and the English you'll hear outside on the street is that Jeremy and I will speak slightly slower than we do in our regular everyday lives. And one more thing before we get started, we have a study guide for this episode, and it is available to download from our website, Culips, CULIPS.com. So if you want to study along with the study guide, hit up the website and give it a download. Jeremy, yoga. It's yoga time.
Yoga. Well, it's funny you ask me because I actually teach yoga.
You're a yoga teacher.
A yoga instructor. I prefer instructor.
Instructor. Okay, yoga instructor. Could I also call you a yogi? What's a yogi? Who is a yogi?
Very good question. Yogi is a male who does yoga, and yogini is a female who does yoga.
Interesting. I've only ever heard the expression yogi, never yogini. That's new to me.
Yeah, maybe it could be a made-up term, but I heard it used to refer to women. Some instructors say, hello, yogis and yoginis, something like that. So I have heard that before.
So you're a yoga instructor.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine you're quite flexible then, unlike me.
Now I am, but I played basketball my whole life until I was maybe 27. Okay. And I pretty much stopped completely because I had so many lower back problems and pain in my tailbone, my lower back. Mm-hmm. And I was so tight, I couldn't sleep very well.
Yikes.
Because laying in my bed was uncomfortable.
Wow.
So I stopped playing basketball.
Okay.
I started doing yoga, and I really got into yoga when I was living in Korea.
Okay.
And in Korea, there was a studio I went to almost, not every day, maybe 4 times a week. Mm-hmm. And I would do yoga at home a little bit every day and stretch before I go to sleep. So now I am quite flexible, more flexible than most people, but there are still things I need to work on, of course.
So what made you decide to choose yoga?
Well, when I teach classes to new students, people who have never done yoga before, I describe yoga as learning how to use your body properly.
Okay.
So if someone gives you a car, before you can drive the car, you have to learn how to drive it. You have to learn how to use it, the steering wheel, the pedals, the buttons. But we get a body when we are born, and no one really teaches us how to use it properly.
It's true.
So my wife also is a yoga instructor, and we both have had this same experience. It is much easier for us to use our body now, lifting heavy things, going under a table, for example, or getting into a narrow space, or lifting something heavy. Those things have become a lot easier. And another analogy I use is that your body it's sort of like wearing a suit that is too tight for you.
Okay.
So when you're tight, if you imagine wearing, say, a sweater that is too small,
Yes.
you can't move very well, right? You
Right.
can't move your shoulders or your arms.
You're really restricted. You can't move around.
Very restricted. And over time, if you wear that shirt every day and you stretch it out, it starts to fit better. And this is kind of the goal of yoga. I got into yoga because I wanted to be more comfortable in my own body.
Yoga is interesting to me. It seems a little bit different than other exercises because there's a spiritual side to yoga.
Yes.
And some people are heavily into the spiritual side, and I know that other yoga practitioners stay away from the spiritual side. When you practice yoga, do you find it to be a spiritual practice as well, or is it mostly just an exercise thing for you?
I think if it is just exercise to someone, then it's not yoga.
Interesting.
The word yoga means union, or two things becoming one, sort of.
Okay.
And when you are in a difficult pose in yoga, say you're balancing on one foot and your other leg is out to the side and you're holding your toe, very difficult pose.
Sounds difficult, yes.
Yeah. In that pose, you can't think about other things. You have to be one with the present moment.
Okay.
In order to balance and use all the muscles properly and be in the pose. So yoga is sort of like meditation with your body. And another aspect is sometimes we store memories or pain in certain areas of our body. So, for example, if someone got in a very traumatic car accident when they were younger, they may have some stiffness in their hips or their back. And when they are doing yoga, sometimes that emotion comes back. You're doing a certain stretch and all of a sudden you feel fear or sadness or something like that. And for me, that has happened many times, especially with my legs. In basketball, your legs are the most important part, right? You need to move side to side, run and jump.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for me, there is lots of fear stored in my legs. And when I'm doing a stretch, sometimes I get a flash memory of being knocked over in a basketball game, or I feel the fear again.
Really? It all comes back.
It comes back, and you get a second chance to process it, or to be with that feeling and let it pass. You don't have to hold on to the memory or the pain, and then you get more flexible. So flexibility comes with open-mindedness. They're kind of one and the same thing.
Well, that's certainly fascinating. I think you're convincing me that I need to start practicing yoga. It sounds very good. One final question for you, Jeremy.
Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite yoga pose?
Oh, I think it changes because sometimes my body needs something specific.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, there is a certain pose for that.
Okay.
But probably my favorite is just sitting on the ground with my legs crossed. It's called lotus pose. There's half lotus, like the lotus flower, half lotus, and full lotus. And at first, half lotus was impossible for me. Even.
Okay.
And now I'm working on full lotus. And
Okay.
it has taken years to unravel everything, unwind, to release all that tension. So I think you might enjoy yoga, especially because you played basketball a lot, like me. But not all instructors are the same.
Okay.
And sometimes some instructors have a different concept of yoga, and they push people away from yoga sometimes. So I would say just be mindful of that going into your first yoga class.
Yeah, I've never taken a yoga class before. I have done a little bit with YouTube. There's a teacher on YouTube, popular. I think her name is Adrienne.
Yeah. Adrienne, I know her.
Yeah. I watched a couple of her videos and followed along, and I thought, this feels good. But I never took it any farther than that. So maybe one of these days coming up, I can finally try taking a class and see what yoga is about.
Yeah, or you can do it at home too. There are lots of good YouTube channels like Adrienne's or some other ones.
Will you start a yoga YouTube channel one day, Jeremy?
Maybe one day, yeah. I'd like to do it in multiple languages. So maybe someday I can do that.
I like that idea. Multilingual yoga. Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, Jeremy, we'll leave it at that for today. Thank you for listening, everybody. Before we let you go, we're going to remind you that the study guide for this episode is available on culips.com. And if you want to get in contact with us, you can do that via email. Our address is contact@culips.com, and we're also on Facebook at facebook.com/culipspodcast. All right, that's it for now. We'll talk to you next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
The best way to study with Culips is by becoming a Culips member. When you become a Culips member, you will get full transcripts, detailed vocabulary explanations, and quizzes for each episode. Visit culips.com. That's CULIPS.com to sign up and become a member.